Hello, we resume our reading from the book R.K. Narayan, Swami and Friends. We have finished chapter 14 and today we are starting chapter 15. We are almost at the end of the book, but these are very long chapters. And this chapter 15 is titled Before the Match. So this is going deeper and deeper into the cricket. We had an earlier chapter on the MCC, chapter 13, where these people, these boys, they had a very formal listing of the people who will play and the team member who will be what, and they place the order for the bats and the wickets and all that. So they are going about it in a very elaborate manner. And now they have got the match fixed up and they are doing the match. The MCC's challenge to a friendly match was accepted by the Young Men's Union, who kept themselves in form by indefatigable practice on the vacant site behind the reading room, or when the owner of this site objected, right in the middle of Kulam Street. The match was friendly in not but name. The challenge sent by the MCC was couched in terms of defense and threat. There were some terrifying conditions attached to the challenge. The first condition was that the players should be in the field promptly at 11 o'clock. The second was that they should carry their own bats, while the stumps would be graciously supplied by the MCC. The third was not so much a plain condition as a firm hint that they would do well to bring and keep in stock a couple of their own balls. The reason for this was given in the pithy statement that your batsmen might hit your own balls and not break ours. The next was the inhospitable suggestion that they had better look out for themselves in regard to lunch, if they cared to have any at all. The last condition was perhaps the most complicated of the lot, over which some argument and negotiation ensued. You shall pay for breaking bats, balls, wickets, and other damages. So all these conditions were laid out. Now, this seems to be very elaborate negotiation between the two teams. I remember when we were kids, we used to have our team. There was no listing of who will join and inviting people from people who want to join and all that. Just we used to live in a building called Happy Home, and from downstairs near the corner lamppost, one of the boys would come and whistle. He'll whistle like that, and then within 5 minutes, everybody all around, about 5 or 6 boys from Happy Home itself, 3 boys from the opposite building, View Villa, 2 boys from the next building, Bhakta Nivas, and around. So there'll be easily 10-15 boys, out of which it is known that lamppost eats the wicket. The lower portion of the lamppost from the ground up to that height. And above that is the lamp. So the wicket is there, and the gutter, the manhole at the opposite, diagonally opposite end of the, it's a meeting place of 2 streets. So there's a broad area, open road. So the diagonally opposite manhole cover was the bowling wicket. So from the that corner, the building wall, that used to be the, from that corner, the bowler will run and bowl from the gutter onto the lamppost, and the batsman should take his hit strike from there. And the fielders. It used to be so nice, and we would just play, and there would be traffic coming, and we'll wait until the cars pass. In those days, I say 60 or 1950s and 60s, very little traffic in Matunga. So it was nice. We would play, and then the people will be going for their daily whatever requirements. They'll go to this way and that way. We'll give them way. We won't harass anybody, and nobody would object to our playing. And so now,
What about the cricket ball hitting someone's?
well, it has happened. So sometimes the ball may hit somebody, and we'll go and sorry, mama, sorry. No, it hit you. Come, they'll go away. Except once it happened, there was one party, one old woman from the corner building, Shantnath Bhavan, who was going to the vegetable market. She goes every day, and that day, exactly as she went, it was a misfortune, a mishap. One ball was hit, and it went and straight hit her. So she got very angry because I think it hurt her. She bent down, picked the ball, and said, "You won't get this ball." And she took it away. From that day, we used to call her Ball Patti. And every day, as she would go, she will call, Patti, will you give us the ball? Ball Patti, like that, we would do that. But those days, there were no complications at all. Okay, now coming back to the story. The YMU captain was rather puzzled by this last condition. He felt that it was irrelevant in view of the fact that there were conditions 2 and 3, and if they broke any bats and balls at all, it would be their own property, and the MCC's anxiety to have the damage made good was unwarranted. He was told that the stumps belonged to the MCC anyway, and there was also the YMU's overlooking clauses 2 and 3. At which the YMU captain became extremely indignant and asked why, if the MCC was so impoverished, it should not come and play in their YMU's own pitch and save them the trouble of carrying their team about. The stinging rejoinder occurred to the indignant Rajam exactly 20 minutes after the other captain had left, that it could not be done as the MCC did not think much of a match played in the middle of Kulam Street if the owner of the vacant site behind the reading room should take it into his head to object to the match. Before he left, the YMU captain demanded to be told what other damages in the last clause meant. Rajam paused, looked about, and pointed to the windows and tiles of a house adjoining the MCC field. The match was to be played on Sunday 2 weeks later. Rajam lost all peace of mind. He felt confident that his team could thrash the YMU. He himself could be depended upon not to let down the team. Money was steady if unimpressive. He could be depended upon to stop with his head, if necessary, any ball. His batting was not bad. He had a peculiar style. With his bat, he stopped all reasonable approaches to the wicket and brought the best bowlers to a fainting condition. Rajam did not consider it worthwhile to think of the other players of the team. There was only one player who caused him the deepest anxiety, day and night. He was a dark horse. On him rested a great task, a mighty responsibility. He was the eighth of the team, and he must bowl out all the 11 of the other team. But he looked uncertain. Even with the match only a fortnight off, he did not seem to care for practice. He stuck to his old habit of arriving at the field when darkness had fallen on the earth. Swami, Rajam pleaded, please Do try to have at least an hour's practice in the evenings. Certainly, Rajam, can you suggest a way? Why not tell your headmaster that, oh, no, Swaminathan cried. I am grateful to you for your suggestion, but let us not think of that man. He has not forgotten your last visit yet. I don't care. What I want is that you should have good practice. If you keep any batsman standing for more than 5 minutes, I'll never see your face again. You needn't concern yourself with the score. You can leave it to us. Just 7 days before the match, Swaminathan realized that his evenings were more precious than ever. As soon as the evening bell rang, he lined up with the rest of the drill ground, but contrary to the custom, he had not taken off his coat and cap. All the others were in their shirts, with their dhotis tucked up. The drill master, a square man with protruding chest, a big moustache sharpened at the ends, and a silk turban wound in military style, stood as if he posed before a camera and surveyed his pupils with a disdainful side glance. The monitor called out the names of the from the greasy register placed on the vaulting horse. The attendance after an interminable time was over, and the drill master gave up his pose, came near the file, and walked from one end to the other, surveying each boy sternly. Swaminathan, being short, came towards the end of the file. The drill master stopped before him, looked him up and down, and passed on, muttering, "You won't get leave. Coat and cap off." Swaminathan became desperate and pursued him. "Sir, I'm in a terrible state of health. I can't attend drill today. I shall die if I do. Sir, I think I shall die." He was prancing behind the drill master. The drill master came to the last boy, and yet Swaminathan was dogging him. He turned around on Swaminathan with a fierce oath. "What is the matter with you?" Sir, you don't understand my troubles. You don't even care to ask me what I am suffering from." Yes, what exactly is ailing you now?" Swaminathan had at first thought of complaining of a headache, but now he saw that the drill master was in a mood to slight even the most serious of headaches. He had an inspiration and said, "Sir, the whole of last night I was delirious." The drill master was stunned by this piece of news. "You were delirious? Are you mad?" "No, sir, I didn't sleep a wink last night. I was delirious. Our doctor said so. He asked me not to attend drill for a week to come. He said that I should die if I attend drill." "Get away, young swine, before I am tempted to throttle you. I don't believe a word, but you are a persevering swine. Get out." The intervening period, about half an hour between leaving the drill ground and reaching the cricket field, was a blur of hurry and breathlessness. Everybody at the field was happy to see him so early. Rajam jumped with joy. On the whole, everything was satisfactory. The only unpleasant element in all this was an obsession that the drill master might spy him out, so that when they dispersed for the evening, Swaminathan stayed in Rajam's house till it was completely dark, and then skulked home, carefully avoiding the lights falling in the street from the shop fronts. The next morning, he formed a plan to be free all the evenings of the week. He was at his desk with the manual of grammar opened before him. It was 7:30 in the morning, and he had still 2.5 hours before him for the school. He did a little cautious reconnoitering. Mother was in the baby's room, for the rhythmic creaking of the cradle came to his ears. Father's voice was coming from the front room. He was busy with his clients. Swaminathan quietly slipped out of the house. He stood before a shop in front of which the board said Dr. T. Keshavan, L.M. and Sri S. Krishna Dispensary. The doctor was sitting at a long table facing the street. Swaminathan found that the doctor was alone and free and entered the shop. "Hello, Swaminathan, what's the matter?" Nothing, sir. I have come on a little business. All well at home? Quite, doctor. I have got to have a doctor's certificate immediately. What is the matter with you? Sir, I'll tell the truth, doctor. I have to play a match next week against the Young Men's Union, and I must have some practice. And yet every evening there is drill class, scouting, some dirty period or the other. If you could give me a certificate asking them to let me off at 4:30, it would help the MCC to win the match. Well, I could do it, but is there anything wrong with you? Swaminathan took half a second to find an answer. Certainly, I am beginning to feel of late that I have delirium. What did you say? The doctor asked anxiously. Now, the boy doesn't even know what is delirium. No? Swaminathan was pleased to find the doctor so much impressed and repeated that he was having the most violent type of delirium. Boy, did you say delirium? What exactly do you mean by delirium? Swaminathan did not consider it the correct time for cross-examination, but he had to have the doctor's favor. He answered, "I've got it. I can't say exactly, but it is in some kind of stomachache." The doctor laughed till a great fit of coughing threatened to choke him. After that, he looked Swaminathan under the eye, examined his tongue, tapped his chest, and declared him to be in the pink of health, and told him he would do well to stick to his drill if he wanted to get rid of the delirium. Swaminathan again explained to him how important it was for him to have his evenings free. But the doctor said, "It's all very well, but I should be prosecuted if I give you any such certificate." Who is going to find out, doctor? Do you want our MCC to lose the match? I wish you all success, don't worry. I can't give you a certificate, but I shall talk to your headmaster about you and request him to let you off after 4:30. That will do. You are very kind, sir. Thank you, doctor. At 4:30 that evening, without so much as thinking of scouting the class in the quadrangle of the school, Swaminathan went home and then to the cricket field. Next day he had drill class and he did not give it a thought. He was having plenty of practice. Rajam said, "Swami, you are wonderful. All that you need was a little practice. All that you needed was a little practice. What have you done about your evening classes?" "It's a slight brainwave, my boy. Our doctor has told the headmaster that I should die if I stayed in the school after 4:30. I got him to do it. What do you think of it?" Mani dug him in the ribs and cried, "You are the brainiest fellow I have ever seen." Rajam agreed with him and was suddenly seized with worry. "Oh, I don't know if we shall win that match. I will die if we lose." Mani said, "Here, Rajam, I am sick of your talks of defeat. Do you think those monkey-faced fools can stand up to us?" "I shall write to the papers if we win," said Rajam. "Will they print our photos?" Tate asked. "Without doubt." It was during the geography hour on Friday that the headmaster came to the class, cane in hand. The geography master, Mr. Ramarao, had a mild elderly person, rose respectfully. The headmaster gave the full benefit of his wizened face to the class. His owl-like eyes were fixed upon Swaminathan, and he said, "Get up." Swaminathan got up. "Come here." Swaminathan came there properly. "Show your shameless face to the class, fully." Swaminathan now tried to hide his face. The headmaster threw out his arm and twisted Swaminathan's neck to make him face the class and said, "This great man is too busy to bother about such trivial matters as drill and scouting, and has not honored these classes with his presence since last Monday." His lips twisted in a wry smile. The class considered it safer to take the cue and gently giggled. Even on the geography master's face, there appeared a polite smile. "Sir, have you any explanation to give?" the headmaster asked. With difficulty, Swaminathan found his voice and answered, It was the doctor. Didn't the doctor talk to you about me, sir? What doctor? Talk about what? He said he would, faintly answered Swaminathan. If you talk in enigmas, I shall strip you before the class and thrash you. Dr. Keshavan said, what about Dr. Keshavan? He said he would talk to you about me and get me exemption from drill and other extra periods. He said that I should die if I attended drill for some days to come. And pray, what is your trouble? He thinks it is some kind of delirium. He had determined to avoid this word since he met the doctor last. But at this critical moment, he blundered into it by sheer habit. The headmaster turned to the teacher and raised his brow. He waited for some time and said, I am waiting to hear what other words of truth and wisdom are going to drop from your mouth. Sir, I thought he had talked to you. He said he would. I don't care to have every street mongrel come and tell me what to do in my school with my boys. It's a good thing that the Surgeon General did not come. If he had, I would have asked the peon to bash his head on the table. Swaminathan realized that the doctor had deceived him. He remembered the genial smile with which the doctor had said that he would see the headmaster. Swaminathan shuddered as he realized what a deep-dyed villain Dr. Keshavan was behind that genial smile. He would teach that villain a lesson, put a snake into his table drawer, and he would not allow that villain to feel his pulse, even if he should be dying of fever, even if Swaminathan was dying of fever. Further plans of revenge were stopped by a flick of the cane on his knuckles. The headmaster held the canes ready and cried, Hold out your hand, 6 on each hand for each day of absence, and the whole of the next lesson on the bench. Monitor, you had better see to it. And remember, W.S. Swaminathan, if you miss a single class again, I shall strip you in the school hall and ask the peon to cane you. You can't frighten me with your superintendent of police, their sons, grandsons, or grandfathers. I don't care even if you complain to His Majesty. He released Swaminathan's neck and raised the cane. Another moment, and that vicious snake-like cane, quivering as if with life, would have descended on Swaminathan's palm. A flood of emotions swept him off his feet, a mixture of fear, resentment, and rage. He hardly knew what he was doing. His arm shot out, plucked the cane from the headmaster's hand, and flung it out of the window. Then he dashed to his desk, snatched his books, and ran out of the room. He crossed the hall and the veranda in a run, climbed the school gate because the bolt was too heavy for him, and jumped on to the end of Market Road. He sat under a tree on the roadside to collect his thoughts. He had left the school to which he would never go back as long as that tyrant was there. If his father should hear of it, he would do heaven knew what. He would force him to go back, which would be impossible. He had got out of 2 schools in this fashion. There were no more schools in Malgudi. His father would have to send him to Trichinopoli or Madras. But probably the board high school headmaster would write to all the schools, telling them who Swaminathan was. He would not be admitted to any school, so he would have to work and earn. He might get some rupees and he could go to hotels and buy coffee and tiffin as often as he pleased. What divine sweets the Bombay Anand Bhavan made. There was some green slab on the top left of the stall with almonds stuck on it. He had always wanted to eat it, but lacked the courage to ask the hotel man, as he believed it would be very costly. His father would not allow him to remain in the house if he did not go to school. He might beat him. He would not go home that day, nor on any other day. He could not face his father. He wondered at the same time, where he could go. Anywhere. If he kept walking along Market Road, anywhere, where would it lead him? Probably to Madras. Could he reach Bombay and England if he went further? He could work in any of those places, earn money, and do what he pleased. If he should go by train, but what to do for money, then there might not be much trouble about that. The station master was an amiable man, and Swaminathan knew him. The school bell rang. Swaminathan rose to hurry away. The boys might come out, stand around and watch him as if he were something funny. He hurried along Market Road, turned to his right along Smith Street, and taking a shortcut through some intricate lanes, stood before his old school, the Albert Mission. The sight of the deep yellow building with its top story filled him with nostalgia for old times. He wished he had not left it. How majestic everything there now seemed. The headmaster, so dignified in his lace turban, so unlike the grubby wretch of the board. Vedanayagam Ebenezer, even Ebenezer, D.P. Pillai. How cozy and homely his history classes were. Swaminathan almost wept at the memory of Somu and P. All his friends were there. Rajam, Somu, Mani, and the P, happy, dignified, and honored within the walls of the august Albert Mission School. He alone was out of it, isolated as if he were a leper. He was an outcast. An outcast. He was filled with a sudden self-disgust. Oh, what would he not give to be back in the old school? Only they would not take him in. It was no use. He had no more schools to go in Malgudi. He had no more schools to go to in Malgudi. He must run away to Madras and work. But he had better see Rajam and Mani before going away. So all the musings and the wanderings in the mind of a delinquent boy. He lingered outside the school gate. He had not this courage to enter it. He was the enemy of the school. The peon Singaram might assault him and drive him out if he saw him. He discreetly edged close to the massive concrete gate post which screened him from direct view of the school. He had to meet Rajam and Mani, but how? He stood still for a few minutes and formed a plan. He went round behind the school. It was part of the building that nobody frequented. It was a portion of the fallow field adjoining the school and terminating in the distant railway embankment. Swaminathan had not seen this place even once in all the 6 or 7 years he had spent at the school. Here the school compound wall was half covered with moss, and the rear view of the school was rather interesting. From here Swaminathan could see only the top half of the building, but even that presented a curious appearance. For instance, he could not at once point out where his second A was situated. He rolled up a stone to the foot of the wall and stood on it. He could just see the school compound now. It was about 12, the busiest hour in the school, and there was not a single person in the compound. He waited. It was tedious waiting. After a short time, a very small person came out of the first standard to blow his nose. The 3 sections of the first standard were in a block, not a dozen yards from Swaminathan. Swaminathan whistled softly, and the very small person did not hear. Swaminathan repeated the whistling, and the very small person turned and started as if he saw an apparition. Swaminathan beckoned to him. The small person took just a second to decide whether to obey the call of that apparition or to run back to the class. Swaminathan called him again, and the very small man drew toward him as if in a hypnotic state, staring wildly. I think I'll stop here because this has got still about 20 pages. It's a very long chapter. So we'll continue with it on the next occasion. It has been nice reading out to you. It's interesting, this Swaminathan and his school and his cricket team and all that.
It takes you back to
Oh, yes.
to an India long gone,
Oh yes,
right?
and we used to have cricket match also. I told you, ours was the Happy Home team, and just at the other end of the street was a building called Shantinath Bhavan. So Shantinath Bhavan, they had their own team. There also there is so many boys, so they will just gather around, and so many of them. Here, so many of us, and then we said, okay, next Sunday we'll have match. So during the week, practice money, every all bowlers, batsmen, field, everything getting all ready. Then the match will be in the Cosmopolitan Club Gardens
Cricket ground.
ground, just opposite the other side of the main road. So on the next Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, all of us there with the wickets, same, but not so very formal organization, all that. Just gather, and we are all kids. They are other team, we are this team. No enmity, but they are different and we are different. We hang out together, they hang out together. So, and we know all of them, we'll see each other talk and every time. So, and that match would be nice. It was a full open field and wicket, pitch, everything according to regulations. And nice game. It would be real hot and the batsman would hit, ball will go into the bush there and 2-3 boys will run. It's very nice to play like that. And no quarreling, quibbling, a general, genial, happy physical exercise. We have enjoyed the matches so many times.
So this particular chapter was in one of our non-detailed readings. Where, so in my schooling was similar to Swaminathan's, but 100 years later. So, but then still the similar education patterns and all that. But when I was about that age, no, maybe older, 12, 13, we had in our English class, we would have our regular we would have 3 sections of English. We would have regular English, then we would have grammar, and the third would be non-detailed, which is just stories.
Yeah.
And that's how you really learn it, spoken English.
Yeah.
So so we would have different stories like Ruskin Bond and all of that. But one of them, how I discovered Swami and Friends, was through this chapter. This was an excerpt of this chapter was in our textbook as a story. And that's when I learned the term delirium from Swami because it was so the entire premise of the story was so relatable to us, where we had a cricket match, we wanted to skip school, but we had drill practice, and we didn't want to go to drill practice, but we got into trouble, so we went and got a doctor's note. And the doctor's note was for what? We had to find an answer. And now we learned the term delirium.
Delirium.
So it was so relatable. And I think that's why they'd included that in our, to make it interesting for us, because they knew the kids would really find it relatable. And God knows how many kids have used that, have learned not to use delirium as an excuse after this. Otherwise, we would have had so many kids make the mistake of saying they had delirium. But it became a running joke. If someone was to call out from school, but we knew that they had something else going on, we would ask, "Oh, did you have delirium?" Because we would know that would be code word.
It's a nice chapter.
Yeah.
I hope they enjoyed it.
I hope you all enjoyed it. How much more left?
Oh, plenty. It's a very long chapter.
But that's the last chapter? No,
I think there's a very brief ultimate final chapter.
This was chapter, what chapter?
This is here. Chapter number, day of the match is, see how long? 17.
Oh, we only at 17.
And then only
18 and 19. Okay,
yes.
Just small. But what about before that? Are you sure we finished 16?
18, yeah. 18 is return and 19 is parting.
We didn't do 16 then. Swami disappears.
We are done. We are done.
No, you'll have to read 16.
Swami disappears.